and welcome to the Unlock Your Blocks podcast. My name is Elyssa, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about something that you might be being hard on yourself about that might not actually be what you think it is. I'm talking about procrastination. We are often so quick to berate ourselves for being lazy, not productive. We're getting hard on ourselves for not getting enough done or pushing things back. We oftentimes will just assume that we're doing a quote bad behavior. I'm doing air quotes, but really, what if I told you it might not actually be that you're procrastinating? I want to give you a perspective today on procrastination and other types of self-sabotage that gives you the capacity to see it for what it really might be, other than what you assume it is, because we are known as high-achieving women to assume the worst about ourselves, okay? So let's get down to some of these things. There are a lot of things that can actually look like procrastination that actually aren't procrastination. Now, the way that I describe procrastination, the working definition for this episode, if you will, is when your nervous system is causing you to sort of inadvertently push something off that you actually really wish that you would be able to do, that it's really aligned with you. Now, procrastination, here's the thing, it only applies to things that you know that you need to be doing. Now, let me explain this a little bit deeper. So here are some things that oftentimes maraud around like they are procrastination, but they're not. And there are some subtle differences between these behaviors and what's actually happening and procrastination that is something that you need to address deep down with your nervous system. Now, when we're healing from these things that are stopping us from getting our goals, things that are keeping us playing small, it's really important that we get into the nitty-gritty of, is it procrastination or is it something different? Procrastination is a survival mechanism. It's a coping mechanism that your nervous system uses to push off something that has a less than ideal potential result. So that means that your nervous system is assuming that when you do this thing, you're going to have the possibility of rejection, of abandonment, which it automatically assumes, like we're in cavewoman days, that if you're rejected and abandoned from the tribe, if you make somebody unhappy, God forbid, that you're going to be picked off from the herd and eaten for lunch by some sort of wild animal. So it's a very extreme response, okay? So if it thinks that that's a possibility, it's going to cause you to procrastinate. You're not going to really even know you're doing it, except you might just have this sinking sensation of doom and feeling like you're not good enough because you're not getting stuff done. But let me uncover for you a few things that are actually not procrastination. But I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, I'm such a procrastinator. And then they tell me what's happening. And I'm like, that's actually not procrastination. That's something slightly different. And it comes from a different place, okay? So procrastination, survival instinct, okay? It is a survival tactic. Let's talk about the things that look like procrastination sometimes, but are actually not. So, number one, simply rearranging your calendar of when you're going to do things. So if you are looking at the things that you have on your list for today, and let's say you have that never-ending to-do list, and that's what we're all working with here, right? We're all working with the never-ending to-do list. So it just kind of like rolls over from one day to the next. And if you're not careful, you're quickly into burnout and overwhelm because you're just to-do list overwhelmed. So if that happens, and like there's been an item on your list for a while, but you're maybe saying, okay, today's not the right day to do that. Let me put it on tomorrow, or let me put it on the next day. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're procrastinating. That's not necessarily this survival instinct that says, oh, it's not safe to do this. That might just be you being like, yep, I can't even tell you. I have so many mom clients who are like, yeah, so I was planning on doing that thing. And then my daughter threw up in the car on the way there. And so I had to turn around. We didn't have any extra clothes. Like your day gets out of hand. You gotta move the thing back. So simply rearranging your schedule because stuff got out of hand, that's not procrastinating. So don't be hard on yourself for, quote, procrastinating when literally it's just that you had to rearrange your schedule, okay? There were things that happened that were unexpected. I mean, gasp, welcome to adulthood. Stuff happens. And so that's not necessarily procrastination. So I want you to be a little easier with yourself on things that are getting pushed back because your day got away from you or because some other reason besides you're trying to avoid potentially the outcome or the results of doing that action. Another other thing is your priorities might just be shifting. That's not necessarily procrastinating. If you say, okay, because I'm telling you, let me ask you this. Am I alone in this? Are you a whole different person at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. when you wake up in the middle of the night? I like scary Elyssa comes out and she is like so worried about everything. Like I say she's scary because she just doesn't know what's happening. And she's like real worried about stuff that she probably doesn't need to be worried about. And then I like wake up and in the light of day, that problem is no longer a priority. So you might just have like put this on your list of things to do. And then it's just not that big of a priority in general. You do not have to feel like, oh, gosh, this thing on my list, I just keep not getting to it. I must be procrastinating, and then you're like smacking yourself because you're feeling bad about that. Don't do that. You might just have switched what the priorities are, in which case it's okay to move something to a later time. Again, that's simply rearranging your schedule because your schedule got away from you, or just shifting your priorities because that item on your list isn't the priority that you thought it was maybe, or that you would like for it to be. And that's okay. Maybe that's aligned with where you are right now, particularly if it's aligned with you to not do that thing right now. If it comes up against your main goals, we know that you have to shift that priority. That needs to be a conscious decision you're making, not to just berate yourself over and over and be so hard on yourself that you're not getting it done. Just be like, it's just not a high enough priority for me to do that right now. End of story. Shame-free, guilt-free, just moving on. So the next thing you want to look for is, I'm just changing directions. So there may be something. Now, if you own a business, you'll know what this is like. So I own a business. So I'm a coach and I have all kinds of, I'm the visionary on my team. My director of ops and my team, they can tell you, I get the ideas. Okay. We got the ideas and I'm like, guys, maybe we should do this or maybe we should do this. And so I'll go in a direction for a little while and they help ground me. I love you, Melissa, Cassie, everybody. They'll help ground me and we kind of figure out, okay, what makes sense? Which direction should we go forward? And once we decide what direction that should be, then I'll go in that direction for a little while. And it's like, okay, so if that works, then great. But we might just need to shift directions. Like you might just need to change what you're actually doing so that you can make a bigger impact. So that doesn't mean that you have failed. That doesn't mean that you are actually, it's not problematic that you're changing directions. You might just not get to that thing. Like there are all kinds of things that I see a lot of my clients do. So it'll be like, okay, I'm planning ahead that I'm going to do this big conference this year, and then I'm going to start writing my book, or I'm going to start that podcast. And so maybe you start to go in that direction and you realize, ooh, I need to actually pivot here. I need to pivot. So especially if you do have your own business and you're like, okay, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about market research and figuring out what your clients need and figuring out your niche and all these things, you have to kind of decide what direction you're going in. And then you might have things on your goal list that are in that direction. And then you might need to switch. So it's not like you're procrastinating starting that book or that podcast or anything like that. You're just making a pivot. And there doesn't need to be any guilt or shame along with that. Okay. Now, the caveat to all this is there doesn't need to be shame for procrastination either. That is literally just a survival instinct. But shame is typically accompanies it because we feel like we're flawed somehow for doing this procrastination behavior. So when you're shifting priorities, when you're changing directions, that's not procrastination. It's like you made a conscious decision to do something different than what you originally thought you were going to do. Doesn't mean it's procrastinating. Another thing is purposely choosing to delay something. So do you hear the agency in all of these things? This is not life happening to you. These things that can look like procrastination and they're not, most of these things have an active choice associated with it. I am choosing to move it off my calendar today into tomorrow. So another thing is like purposely choosing to delay something. It's not inadvertent, but like I had a particular situation where someone was telling me like, oh, you just need to write your book. And this is something that's in my heart to do. I have a book I believe that I'm supposed to write. And I had like a certain timeline that I thought I would write the book. And so I was kind of chatting with somebody who had written a book and this person could not stop telling me about how I needed to just start the book already. Start the book already. And it's kind of like, well, but it has to fit in, like it has to be a part of it has to be what comes from like this abundant place within me. Now, granted, it's hard work to write a book. Everything that's worth doing takes some sort of alignment, some sort of effort to either just become aligned and let it flow or some sort of effort to bring this forth. But I'm just not at a place where that is what I want to put my attention on yet. So it's on the list, right? Like the New York Times bestseller, maybe like I'm coming for you. But I am waiting to start that journey because guys, I just started a podcast and all this other stuff. And this person that was trying to push me and be like, oh, just do it now, just do it now. They really subscribe to this sort of like cold plunge perspective of everything. And it's like you just go in and you just do the thing and you just do it fast. But I don't work well that way. By the way, neither does anyone because it puts you into survival mode if you're just muscling through everything. So here's the deal. If you are purposely choosing to delay something, that's not procrastination. I'm not procrastinating starting writing my book. I am purposefully delaying it to a more aligned time in my journey where the best work is going to come out of me because it's not going to be coming from survival mode. So I want you to just remember that the only reason procrastination and other self-sabotage really get a hold of you is because we attach shame to those behaviors. Rather than reading it as a communication from your nervous system, from your brain, from your body, we read it as another way that we are failing. And that is just not true, my friend. It's just not true with procrastination or anything else. So I want you to be really careful that you're not just being like slapping your hand and being like, oh, I'm procrastinating again. Well, are you? Because maybe you are. And in that case, it's still not a case for shame. You just need to ask yourself what feels unsafe about moving forward with this. Procrastination is kind of like when you have the task right in front of you, you got the time. It's the aligned right time. It is the aligned right task and you're resisting it. That's procrastination. That is your body and your nervous system telling you, I feel unsafe moving forward with this. But these other things that I've just listed, this is just you making a different choice. And neither one, procrastination and the procrastination impersonators, neither one deserves any shame from you, from me, from anyone else. Nobody needs to shame those things. Shame never caused anybody a lasting change. And I want you just to remember that you do not need to shame yourself or feel guilty for changing around the timeline that you're doing things, or for the fact that you are sabotaging and you know it, or for the fact that you do procrastinate the things that scare you and you're aware of that. That's okay. That just means that you have a nervous system that kept you alive until right now. I'm kind of glad about that. Are you? I'm really glad. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you are working through this. And I just want you to remember that it might not be procrastination, and that either way, if it is or if it isn't, don't be hard on yourself, babe. Don't be hard on yourself. So I want you to just start thinking about the things that are on your list, making sure that they are really aligned with the right timing for you, aligned with the right direction for your heart and your zone of genius. And we're going to be back here in the next few episodes, kind of picking apart what it is in our nervous systems that causes us to sabotage our own best work. So until then, I will see you soon, and take such good care of yourself.